Hello and welcome to this week's myNewsWrap episode. News from the SAP and Microsoft ecosystem. This week we have a special episode because this week was SAP TechEd. 48 hours taking place from Tuesday to Thursday with 2 keynotes and a lot of sessions. So what will you be hearing from me today? Well, first of all, let's take a look to the GitHub repo where I have referenced some links. The book of news of SAP TechEd, which gives you an overview, several other references like answers to the open questions from the SAP Tech Media and Analyst Q&A, 2 blogs from Diginomica, and very important for those who want to get some hands-on, all the sessions that have been done at SAP TechEd are available on GitHub. I have also brought in here the key takeaways from SAP TechEd with respect to the keynote. So that's kind of the overview that I give you within the GitHub repo. I didn't write down too much, so I will be more talking about the keynotes, my impression from the keynotes, and we will shortly walk through the book of news. Now, let's get things started. So first, let's focus on the keynotes. I have to say, if you watch this video, you will see me kind of read my notes because the keynotes did not really stick to my brain that much. I will come to that later. So I will not comment on the sessions. I attended some sessions. Just one remark: if somebody from SAP is listening to this format, if you have sessions that are announced for 40 minutes, and they only take 30 minutes, I would expect that there are 10 minutes to answer questions, and that there is no hard cut after 30 minutes or even 20 minutes, when then the session is shut down and you cannot get any more answers. So that was not very convenient, and that happened in several sessions. So that's just one remark. Now, before I start talking about the keynote, what is my expectation when I attend a technical conference like SAP TechEd or AWS reInvent or Microsoft Build? As it is a tech event, I expect news for techies. And the keynote is something which is kind of the kick-off, the center part. And I would expect some energizing messages, some new hot, cool shit announcements where I want to get my hands on. Of course, SAP is a bit different with respect to their business focus, but nevertheless, we have Sapphire, which is purely business focus, and we have TechEd, which is technical education. Well, that was my expectation. I did not expect the same show as Björn Görke launched every year. I expected some slower movement, some consolidation of stuff, but nevertheless, it's December. It is a very late time in the year, so I would have expected some more announcements that kind of did not happen, because I went with that expectation to the keynotes, to the broadcasting of the keynotes, and then kind of reality hit me in the face. So with respect to the setup, well, it was more decent than at Sapphire, that's for sure. So, but that's kind of what you expect when you're in December of this year, 2020, when it comes to online conferences. One thing that got on my nerves was you could watch the keynote at several spots on the page of the TechEd, but one was with Q&A, one was without Q&A, and you could either watch the keynote full screen or you could watch it in a small window, and then you could also see the questions. Kind of strange. Then also in general, there was a lot of glitches in there. were not cool from a developer perspective. So there was one one sentence that I remember that is somewhere in the first keynote. It was not Jürgen, it was somebody else, said we want open APIs. No, we don't want open APIs. We want APIs that are standardized and rely to open API. So that was kind of strange. There was also Kima was pronounced the wrong way by SAP guys. I don't know. There is a marketing department, so just do your homework. Then I think, it's not that I think, it's a fact that all the sessions have been recorded before, or most of the sessions have been recorded before. There was also quite some focus on SAP Cloud Platform Neo to Cloud Foundry, really to Cloud Foundry. And I got the impression from the sessions that we had with the German-speaking user group that it's the question of Neo to another runtime, not to Cloud Foundry. So there is no real aligned message. There was no real aligned message on that topic. That was kind of my overall expression of the keynotes. As I said before, I was not really happy with the keynotes. So there was some news that have been brought up. So the point where Jürgen picked all the watches of the keynote up was what happened during this year concerning, of course, COVID-19, the Corona One app, the Climate 21 initiative, the Clean Language Guideline with respect to the SAP offerings. Then there was quite some stressing of the certification topic, so that you can have free access to certifications or reduced access to certifications. You have free learning access, and so on and so forth. Everything was very scripted during both keynotes, and it was very, very businesslike. So it was not directly focusing on developers. At least that was my impression. Perhaps other people have other impressions. That's fine. That's absolutely my impression. Now, one thing that I want to mention about the certification topic, about the free learning topic, that's great. But let's be honest, SAP is not doing it because they are just nice. It's because they want to bring developers on their platform. Because they want to get revenue. And if you offer that, and then the chief learning officer or something like that, I have to look that up. The chief learning officer then brags on Twitter that they are spending $5.5 million on free learning content. That kind of misses the point. So you're not the only one that is offering free learning content at SAP. Microsoft is doing the same. AWS is doing the same. And there is a thought in your mind why you do that. And so this tweet was completely over the top. So yeah, I didn't like that. Now, what were the news or kind of the red line during TechEd? Well, to be honest, there was no real red line. At least I couldn't find it. So there was one topic which was about extensions and event-driven extensions, which is nothing really new. There was one bigger topic about SAP HANA concerning its 10th birthday and the kind of highlight now with SAP HANA Cloud. There was a lot of talk about the integration topic, the one domain model, the integration stuff, and so on and so forth. Concerning the integration scenarios that they announced, I think last year, the goal was not achieved. They have achieved kind of 80 to 90% coverage of integration scenarios. Well, which basically means 20% have not been achieved, and all that work in IT know the last 20% are the hard ones, and it's only cloud. So we're not yet talking about the integration scenarios with on-premise. Then there were the key takeaways. I also referenced them on my GitHub repo that have been presented of the first keynote. very slim, very well focused on the topics that I just mentioned, on integration, data to value, and extensibility. Nothing that energized me, nothing that made me want to go into the depth of topic A, B, and see what happens there. So that was really not my kind of keynote, but everybody has a different point of view, everybody has a different expectation. So that's just my impression. Watch the keynote, it's only 40 minutes. The first one, the second one too. I cannot say too much about the second one because I watched it, but there was, from my perspective, no content in there. So nothing to say about that one. Now, however, I have some side notes that came across that are always more interesting than the pure message from my perspective. There was one very strange sentence by Jürgen Müller. I don't know where it was. I think it was either on day 2 or day 3 when they had some Q&As. And he said that the investment on Cloud Foundry are safe as long as we support S4HANA. And that was not the investments in SAP Cloud Platform are safe. It was the investments in Cloud Foundry are safe. So bringing that together with the sessions that are about Neo to Cloud Foundry, and they really focused on Neo to Cloud Foundry and not on Neo to Kima, Neo to serverless, Neo to Steampunk. That was, I don't know where to put that sentence, in what context to put that. What made my mood rise a bit was that at least Microsoft was mentioned during one Q&A with Jürgen Müller as an important partner, as an important collaboration partner. There was also one announcement with respect to, I think, some industry cloud thingy around collaboration of Microsoft and SAP. So it seems that Microsoft and SAP are aligning again a bit more. So it seems that the legal stuff that's happening in between is getting resolved. At least that's my impression. Perhaps I just want to hear that because I'm a Microsoft fanboy. I don't know. However, the other hyperscalers have not been mentioned. At least I didn't come across that. And there were very, very low number of sessions by Microsoft, AWS, and Google. So that was kind of surprising. Well, that's maybe because SAP wanted to position their stuff and not get the others too much on stage. I don't know. Now, as I already mentioned, the really cool thing is, and that's really highly appreciated, is all the hands-on exercises are available on GitHub. So you can really do those on your own because all the hands-on workshops were limited with respect to participants, because these were real hands-on workshops with support by some folks. I didn't attend any of those, so I cannot say something about the quality or whatsoever. Nevertheless, if you want to go through, you can do them by yourself. That's also true for the developer keynote. So there was one dedicated developer keynote that I also did miss because it was at 5 a.m. and, well, I did not get up that early. I watched it on YouTube, but I'm not quite sure if there was some miscutting on YouTube, because that was kind of a very hard start into that keynote. So nevertheless, if you want to kind of follow along what code was presented in there, that's also available on GitHub. And then there was, on the last day, one very funny statement by Jürgen. At least I think it was funny. It was about quantum security of S4HANA, and that they are working on, or that they are coming up with something in that area, so that you cannot kind of decrypt all the stuff when you have a quantum computer. Well, looking at the problems that I have at customer projects, the last problem that we are currently discussing is what happens if a quantum computer gets available that can kind of break down all encryption algorithms because of its way of work. So I don't know where to put that. I don't know if Jürgen meant it was funny or kind of a joke, but it was strange to me. Now, another thing is that there are some announcements made for announcements of things that will come, which is also quite strange from my perspective for such an event. I want at least an announcement of a service or whatsoever, and not an announcement that I announce something next year. And then there were some things that were really expected to come that did not come. For example, the free tier. The free tier will come somewhere in 2021 of the SAP Cloud Platform. So the announcement during DSAG Live was that we hear something at TechEd. So he did not lie about that one. But now the announcement was that they will announce something in 2021. Then SAP Graph is still in beta, which surprised me personally a bit because it's now quite long in beta. And there was one thing, the Cloud Application Programming Model. We all know that there are some folks from the community heavily involved in pushing that stuff. And they are expecting to get it open sourced for connectors, for other databases, and so on and so forth. There was no announcement about that. There was even kind of a rejection by Jürgen Müller. And during the last day, there was a Q&A, and Gregor Wolf and Volker Busek were there as the winner of the Devtoberfest, and they kind of brought up a little piece of paper where they say, hey, open source cup. And this was a really, I would say it was raising the middle finger to them, as the moderator just cut them off at that point in time, kind of cut them off at that point in time. It was a very weak reaction from my point of view. And one other thing that I would have expected and that was announced to be coming in 2020 was the migration from the ABAP programming model for SAP Fiori to RAP. Because if you started with the ABAP programming model for Fiori, they announced during TechEd 2019 that there will be a migration path towards RAP. And this was now postponed to 2021. And there was also, within the answers to the questions, there was some remark that it will come, but nobody knows how it will come. So that was kind of the keynote. So as I said, I was really, really, really disappointed. No announcement, no, I would call it energetic feeling that I had after other keynotes of SAP, of other vendors, when it comes to technology conferences. So this did not take place, at least not from my perspective. Now, that was it about the keynote. So as I said, not too much content from my perspective. So let's switch to the book of news. That came out. I was kind of surprised that came out. Or I hope that it would come out. Because that's, I think, really cool to get kind of a wrap up what happened. So let's shortly walk through that one. There was the kind of pillar topics that have been presented. Well, of course, SAP Business Technology Platform, that was highly stressed that it's the central platform of everything, especially of the industry cloud. That was stressed once and once again, where we have data to value, which basically means all the stuff around data, SAP HANA, integration of SAP HANA, and so on and so forth. We have the integration topic, the extensibility topic. We have some, let's say, cross-platform info. And we have a section about product engineering, which I wouldn't have expected at SAP TechEd, which is, for example, about e-invoicing for Australia's next big compliance mandate. A better release for, I think, Concur for simplifying expense in Japanese public transportation. I wouldn't have expected it at SAP TechEd. Let's put it that way. So yeah, let's shortly jump through that one and see if we find something interesting. So we have the data to value part with a lot of well, news, kind of. I don't know if there are really news because that's not my home turf. Around SAP Data Warehouse Cloud. We have some industry business content packages, which kind of, from my perspective, also stresses again the importance of the industry cloud. There have also been several sessions about the industry cloud, especially for partners, in the SAP TechEd agenda. So this is, for me, another hint that partners should take a closer look at the industry cloud. It's also stressed here once again within this section about the industry business content in SAP Data Warehouse Cloud that they rely on the partner ecosystem for that content. Now, well, there's some news about SAP HANA Cloud with respect to the integration of SAP ASE and SAP IQ. Again, not my home turf. So one announcement that I think was also made, I think at Sapphire, now seems to come to reality. So we have the integration of SAP Analytics Cloud and SAP S4HANA. As you might know, that was already part of S4HANA Cloud, and now you can also integrate the on-premise version of S4HANA with SAP Analytics Cloud in a very fast, decent way. It's kind of a feature parity between cloud and on-prem. Now there are several other announcements. I jump over them because there are kind of very, very detailed features of solutions. So that's really kind of that's the red line of the news of SAP TechEd. So we have a general availability of scenario planning using what-if analytics. Okay. We have the general availability of an improved developer experience with an enhanced analytics designer. Okay. And so on and so forth. Then we have an announcement of an announcement. So we have the critical care capacity planning for SAP Analytics Cloud that is planned for February availability. So as I said before, what's that? I mean, it's TechEd, make the announcement, put it in beta, put it in alpha, but do not announce something to announce something. So that's kind of completely strange to me. Well, that's all about data. So as I said, that's not completely my home turf. I'm also not the biggest fan of SAP HANA, to be honest, especially because of the pricing and because of all the other hyperscalers and vendors of databases, except for Oracle, go a different path with respect to the functionality of the database. So they have dedicated databases for dedicated scenarios, highly specialized. And HANA is kind of the Swiss Army knife. So yeah, that's why I cannot say too much about the relevance of that stuff. We have now the integration part. So this is really cute. There is the general availability of enhancements to the integration suite. There seem to be some enhancement. I couldn't really find them here within the text that is represented here. But there is one thing that I think is cool because I already have had some glimpse on the let's say lab version. SAP is redesigning the API hub, the api.sap.com, in order to improve something like search capabilities, discovering of APIs. So it's at the moment it's really quite hardcore, and the new version is really, if they didn't change something since I last saw it, really cool. Now what do? They announced that they will be an availability in the future, in Q4 2020. Now we can cross-check that because you can go to beta.api.sap.com and you will see a page where the launch announcement is on there with a timer clicking down in 18 days. So as I'm recording this on the 11th of December, this will be at the end of December. So yeah, it's true. It's true. The API Business Hub will come out in Q4 2020 at Silvester. So, or near Silvester, let's be precise. Thanks for that announcement. And then we have another topic that's, kind of a red line, or kind of something that was heavily stressed if you take a look at the sessions. And that's SAP Intelligent Robotic Process Automation. That is now also part of the SAP Cloud Platform Integration Suite Digital Edition. The robotic process automation, or the intelligent robotic process automation, is one big topic of this year's SAP TechEd. I don't know if you make developers happy with that, but that's one thing that SAP is putting heavily stress on that. There is some discussion going on, as usual, for robotic process automation. What's the value? What's kind of the target scenarios? But that's has not been done here within this book of news. Then we have one announcement about the SAP One Domain Model, which was also brought up during the keynote, which is generally available, at least for some objects, for one process. So the One Domain Model is now supporting with first business objects the end-to-end business process of recruit to retire. So this lingua franca is partly available. It's kind of the basis for a consistent master data integration replication for the Graph API. But I think it's a lot of work to do, and I'm not quite sure if this will be a success. So I got reminded of the old days of this enterprise SOA stuff that SAP did. That's, I think, 10 years ago or even more. I'm curious how things will evolve with this SAP One Domain Model and when we will really be able to use it in real life. Because at the moment that's just, something is available, but you cannot really use it, from my perspective. Then I would jump across one announcement. Then there was another thing that's kind of surprised me, that it came up with in the book of announcements, and that's the Project Luigi that introduces web component-based micro front ends. For those of you who have been a bit into the Project Kima, that's exactly what Kima uses right from the start in order to make the UIs, in order to make the administration cockpit. So this is nothing new. It's even written in this book of news. It's available since 2018. So I do not really get why that is a news. So it's getting some traction in the open source community. That's true. So that's definitely the case. But because it's cool, it's working, and if you have ever been to the Kima dashboard, it's fast as hell compared to all the other UF5 based front ends. So but not really a news from my perspective. Then we have also a nice announcement about the SAP Data Custodian that was heavily pushed in, I think, TechEd 2018. There was the lab preview that was presented, and now the SAP Data Custodian has one more functionality. They say that the SAP Data Custodian is the key management service for multi-cloud encryption. And then in the next paragraph, they say, well, it's available for SAP HANA and it's available for SAP IBP. So, well, it's then not really the multi-cloud encryption that I would have expected. But if you're in that area working with IBP, perhaps that's relevant information for you. But another very, very fine-grained announcement of an improvement of a functionality of an existing service or solution of SAP. Then let's go to the area of extensibility. So we have here now in the focus the SAP Business Technology Platform, which is kind of a meta description of several pillars that are underneath. where one is the SAP Cloud Platform, and there is again the hot topics according to SAP's this year's TechEd, which is intelligent robotic process automation, debatable, the SAP Cloud Platform workflow management, existing since quite some years, and one, at least for me, new thing, SAP Room, RW, so UUM, which seems to be some kind of Power Platform, Microsoft Power Platform competitor. I think there is more information on the next side of the on the next side of this book of news. So there's SAP Room that is now positioned as a low-code, no-code solution to model workflows. There was some short demo in one of the keynotes. I really hope that SAP will not try to compete against established and well-matured solutions like Microsoft Power Platform in the area of low-code. This will not work out. So I don't know where this is going, but this was, again, one very hot topic. And for me, it was not really hot shit. And it was especially kind of an area where I do not see SAP. They should more focus on integrating the other tools into their business scenarios and not try to get on a battleground that is already set by other competitors, clearly set by other competitors. But again, my opinion. Then we have the SAP Intelligent Robotic Process Automation, where we have release 2.0 that came out. So as I said, from my perspective, there are valid scenarios where something like robotic process automation is a fair tool to solve problems for business. I don't know if it has to be that prominent in a developer conference. But if you're working with that one, there is a new release, so check that one out. Then we have, concerning the extension area, another GA announcement concerning productivity tools within SAP Cloud Platform. There is a visual modeler for the SAP Cloud Application Programming Model, and new features for the SAP Cloud Platform mobile services. I don't know if you need a visual modeler for the CAP, but well, yeah. What kind of annoys me is that if you want to use it, you have to use the SAP Business Application Studio. There was no announcement that it will become available or is available for Visual Studio Code. Which is something that SAP should definitely talk about. And there is another thing that was written down here in this announcement, that the core data services are a JSON notation. I don't think that they are JSON. At least that's not what I have seen when I did the OpenSAP course, that they are JSON. There's simply a different type of notation. You can transpile it to JSON, but that's not it. And there is also another announcement that I'm not an expert, but I asked experts that UFI web, that you can do a mobile development kit that generates web applications, and that can then be run as really progressive web apps. And that's simply not the case. So this is something that I mentioned before when I talked about the keynote. There are really technical wrong statements, and this is another one. So, well, leave some taste around if you read something like that in a document that was definitely checked by legal, marketing, and I guess when it comes to SAP, 15 other departments, as in every bigger company. So SAP is not something special there. Then there was an announcement of something that's generally available, I think, since mid of the year. That's the enterprise messaging, event-driven architecture thingy, the add-on that is highly appreciated, that it's also available for ECC. But it's nothing new. So yes, there have been improvements with respect to the availability of events. So there are more events available with SAP HANA 2020. or SAP S/4HANA 2008. But yeah, it's available since quite some time. So yeah. Then we have, again, some general availability of an automation pilot for SAP Cloud Platform in order to automate DevOps tasks. Yeah, I mean, I don't know if this is really useful or not, but again, you see one of the core topics goes into the direction of automation of a lot of tasks, be it robotic process automation, be it low-code automation. Then there was another announcement that was also, if you listen to this podcast or watch this video blog, announced by me a few weeks ago, because with the last version of SAP Cloud Platform ABAP environment, the first version of a kind of multi-tenancy enabled steampunk was available. Now there was some discussion going on. I think it was mentioned in one Diginomica blog that this is not really multi-tenancy, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's not multi-tenancy. That's right, with respect to real cloud native development, but that's not the point. The point is that the ABAP environment is really one of the environments, besides Kyma from my perspective, that is continuously evolving with functionality that is driven by customers and partners. And yes, it's the first step to a multi-tenancy enablement. It's not really multi-tenancy that you would expect, but it already helps the partners and gives you a good feeling, because that was something that they said in 2019, 2020, we will do our best to enable partners, and that is what came. And there is also one other important thing, and that's the landscape portal that what was introduced with the ABAP environment, and that's also helping partners. So it's not about getting the perfect solution right from the start, but seeing that there is continuous improvement. And from my perspective, the ABAP environment is also, I know that the use cases are limited from my perspective when it comes to side-by-side extensions, but they are there. But they're really enabling partners, and that's highly appreciated. So this discussion about it's not completely perfect multi-tenancy right from the start, yeah, okay, but at least they do improvements. But again, as I said, I do not see it as a real news for SAP TechEd. Okay, then we have some cross-platform thingies, which is mostly going into the area of education, in the area of getting information from the SAP Discovery Center. The Learning Hub, of course, so that you have now free access to Learning Hub if you attended SAP TechEd until, I think, March 2021. And you get some discount when it comes to certifications. But this discount, if you calculate it closely with the offerings, you will see it's not really a discount, because there is another offering where you can get more tries for certifications with a lower price, even if you compare it to the discounted offering of TechEd. But yeah. Then we have some other announcements about the regional expansion of SAP Cloud Platform. Okay. That's, I mean, they're rolling out the stuff with respect to SAP Cloud Platform, with respect to SAP HANA Cloud. I mean, there is always some certification then going on, but kind of a side note for a conference. And then my really top topic of this year's TechEd, the free tier. There was said that at SAP DSHE Live that there will be a free tier announcement in SAP TechEd, and there was an announcement that the free tier will be announced in 2021. That's, yeah, from my perspective, a fail. The description here is, read it closely. It's a description of a free tier, as all the other cloud providers have it. So I think there has to be done some management of expectation, because I think that a lot of developers have the opinion that they will get a complete SAP Cloud Platform for free with, let's say, some limitations concerning how much memory does my HANA have, how much ABAP systems can I have, and so on and so forth. I don't think that will be the case. You will have some services that have within their plan a free tier with respect to the amount of calls that you can do to that API. But I don't think that you will have within this free tier, let's say, a free Keynote cluster. I really don't think so, because that wouldn't be feasible from a business perspective by SAP. But that's something that I would have hoped that there is some clarification during this TechEd, but as I said, there was not. There was some update on the integration strategy, as I mentioned before, which is another point that I referenced in my GitHub repo. So there is a new guideline for integration, or an updated guideline, but also nothing really new. So let's move on. As I have highlighted for those who watched the video, the hybrid integration is now part of the integration plan. Highly appreciated, but simply the reality at customer sites. And then there is this last section within the book of news about product engineering. And don't get me wrong, but nice announcements, but that's nothing for a TechEd. That's just new features in the product or in some very specialized products. And there is one thing that was announced again, some very special topic. Let's see if I can find it. The SAP Cloud SDK now is able to connect to more SAP solutions. Cool. That's kind of not that big announcement. That's something that we, to be honest, expect. Because this is kind of the SDK for connecting to your SAP Cloud system. So, not what I would have expected. There is also some more news about the Cloud ALM, so the Application Lifecycle Management, which now supports hybrid solutions, extended monitoring, and agile projects. So if you are working with that stuff, I think you should take a look at that. They are also one example that are continuously evolving their solution, but again, not a real big announcement. And that was it. That was it from SAP TechEd. So, as I said before, not too many news, or should I say nearly no news, nothing really new. It was kind of a wrap up what happened this year. No groundbreaking announcements. There was some discussion with respect to the learning path, with respect to how to evolve as a developer. And this is something that I want to bring up as a last statement for this session. So there was, I think, the most important statement during TechEd, and that was done, which kind of did not surprise me, by Thomas Young. And he said there is not a one single skill that you should focus on, except the skill of learning. So just be curious, just be eager to learn new stuff. And as the industry, as the IT industry is constantly changing and growing, he thinks that the best developers, and I fully agree with that, are the ones that keep their skill set up to date. So that is kind of, for me, a key message during this TechEd, where there was a lot of discussion. Is ABAP dead? Will there be ABAP in the future? The usual discussion around ABAP. Where should we focus on? Node, Java, I don't know what. This is really, from my perspective, a very, very good statement that was made during TechEd. Just be curious, keep your mind open, look at new stuff. Unfortunately, there wasn't too much new stuff during TechEd, but at least all the hands-on sessions are available on GitHub, as I mentioned. So if you want to stick to that sentence of Thomas Young, and I highly recommend that, go through these hand-on sessions, take a look what you want to do, where you want to kind of sharpen your sword as a developer, and go through that stuff. So that was kind of my not too enthusiastic, I guess, session about SAP TechEd, because I, as I said, was not really ignited by the messages. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you could get something out. However, it's my opinion. Build your own opinion. Watch the keynote. Perhaps there is something in for you. I really do not know. There was nothing in for me. So we will have a next session next Friday. Then we will have the classical format again, which means news from SAP and the Microsoft area. Till then, have a nice Friday. Have a nice week. Bye.